A mare gives birth, and soon her foal is trying to stand. A human goes into labor, and the doorway begins to fill, with a partner, a midwife, a nurse, water, monitoring equipment, and someone ready to step in if labor stops progressing. Animal birth is not always easy, but human childbirth presents an evolutionary contradiction. The species with language, tools, and obstetric care often needs organized assistance during the very process natural selection depends on. The usual explanation is a large infant head passing through a narrow pelvis. But the birth canal changes shape. The baby often has to rotate, and the pelvis must balance several functions at once. Then another human becomes part of the system. Is that help merely cultural, or is it part of the solution evolution never managed to place inside a single body? The labor room door opens again. A nurse enters. Someone brings folded cloths and water. A monitor is checked. A partner moves closer. Another person stays nearby in case the situation changes. Nothing about the scene looks solitary, and that raises an uncomfortable thought. Childbirth is called natural, so people quietly expect the body to know exactly what to do on its own. When the room fills with help, it can look as though something has already gone wrong, as though the human body is weak, poorly designed, or strangely unfinished at the moment reproduction matters most. But natural selection does not work like an engineer clearing the ground and designing a perfect body from scratch. It works more like renovating a house while every room is still in use. A wall can be moved, but it may also support the floor above it. A doorway can be widened, but that change may affect everything built around it. Research by Philip Mulrocker and Barbara Fisher looks at the human birth canal in this broader context, not as one isolated mistake, but as part of a pelvis shaped by several interacting demands.
In plain English, childbirth inherited a structure that already had other jobs. Evolution does not guarantee comfort, it does not guarantee simplicity, and it does not eliminate every danger just because the process is important. It preserves arrangements that work often enough for life to continue, even when the cost is uneven, painful, and carried by one particular body. That is why biological success is not the same as physical perfection. Modern maternity care adds trained observation, clean supplies, monitoring, pain management, emergency planning, newborn care, and the ability to respond when normal progress changes. Those protections matter, but the more reliably they work, the easier it becomes to forget that much of that safety is organized outside the individual body. Every human entered the world through a body that could not watch, reach, predict, or control every part of the process alone. Natural is not the same as easy, and the apparent design failure becomes even stranger when you look inside the pelvis, because the baby is not moving through one simple opening. The passage changes shape, then it changes direction.
To understand why that changing passage matters, picture a large suitcase meeting a narrow doorway. You push it straight ahead, but it gets stuck. So you tilt it, guide one corner through, turn the wider side away from the narrow edge, and rotate it again as the available space changes. The suitcase did not shrink. The doorway did not suddenly become wide. The fit became possible because the object changed its orientation as it moved. Human birth is not the same as carrying luggage through a doorway, but the comparison reveals something the usual picture hides. Most people imagine the infant above, the opening below, and labor pushing the baby straight down. That makes the apparent solution seem obvious. Large head, small opening, make the opening larger. But the human birth canal is not one smooth tube with the same dimensions from beginning to end. Its shape and orientation change throughout the pelvis. Research by Peter Stansfield and his colleagues helps explain why human birth often involves rotation. As the infant descends, the head and body usually have to align with different parts of the passage. A position that fits near the entrance may not fit farther down. The baby does not simply move downward. It has to turn. That one detail transforms the problem from a simple question of size into a problem of shape, direction, sequence, and movement. Then another question emerges. Why did evolution not make the entire passage wider? Because the pelvis is not a doorway used only for birth. It also contributes to upright posture, movement, structural stability, organ support, pregnancy, and pelvic floor function. Several demands meet within the same inherited structure. Creating more space in one area can affect support or function somewhere else. That does not mean every pelvis is identical or that a single trade-off explains every difficult birth. It means there was no single measurement evolution could enlarge without affecting the rest of the system around it. The familiar story of a large brain competing with a narrow pelvis adapted for walking captures part of the conflict, but it's too simple to explain the entire problem. The infant has dimensions. The passage has changing dimensions. The pelvis has other functions. The tissues must support pregnancy and recover after delivery. The body has to solve several problems at once, and no single solution eliminates every cause.
By now, the apparent compromise should look different. Evolution did not ignore childbirth. It produced several partial solutions: a pelvis capable of supporting upright movement, a passage capable of permitting birth, an infant capable of changing orientation during descent, and a body capable of laboring, adapting, and responding. But partial solutions do not provide complete control. A bone can shape the route, but it can't watch the mother's face. It can't recognize that her condition has suddenly changed. It can't bring water, prepare warmth, remember what happened during an earlier difficult birth, or care for the newborn while the laboring body is still occupied. Geometry can create a workable passage, but it can't respond to the room. That is where another human becomes important. Imagine labor beginning within a human group long before hospitals or monitors existed. An experienced person moves closer. Someone prepares water or cloth. Another person watches for changes the mother may not be able to see clearly from her position. Someone remains ready to care for the newborn while the mother is exhausted, recovering, or still physically occupied by the birth. The mother remains at the center. Her body still carries the pregnancy, contractions, pain, movement, delivery, and immediate physical risk. The helpers do not replace that work. They add capabilities around it. Anthropologists Karen Rosenberg and Wenda Trevathan connected the mechanics of human birth with the widespread importance of attendance and assistance.
That does not mean childbirth created human cooperation. Humans were already deeply social animals, but difficult births may have made dependable, experienced help especially valuable within that social world.
The ancient pattern became recognizable. When labor begins, experienced people move closer. Another person can offer a different viewing angle, another pair of hands, memories from earlier births, the ability to gather supplies, immediate attention for the newborn, and support during exhaustion and recovery. One body carries the physical cost. Another person may carry knowledge and practical ability. A modern observer may inherit an entire system of protection without noticing how many people stand behind it. Look again at the modern delivery room. A partner watches the mother's face. A nurse monitors changes. A midwife or obstetrician brings experience gained from many births. A surgical team may be available if the ordinary path becomes dangerous. Neonatal specialists can focus on the baby. Postpartum care continues beyond the moment most stories treat as the ending. Modern maternity care did not eliminate the group. It expanded, trained, and organized it. The ancestral helper became the partner, experienced relative, midwife, doula, nurse, obstetrical team, emergency specialist, and newborn care team. The equipment changed.
The central behavior did not. Other humans organized themselves around one physically vulnerable body. Help became part of the birthing system. But the presence of help does not automatically mean the person giving birth is supported. A room can be full while the mother feels unheard. Observation can protect her, but it can also become surveillance without respect. Intervention can prevent harm, but it can also become control when her voice, consent, or choices are treated as obstacles. The number of people surrounding a vulnerable body does not tell you whether protection is actually happening. The better test is whether safety increases without agency disappearing. That distinction matters because an evolutionary explanation does not erase the cause. It doesn't make the pain less real. It doesn't cancel complications, fear, trauma, or unequal access to competent care. And it does not distribute the physical burden evenly across the species. People talk about large brains, upright walking, and human survival as achievements belonging to humanity as a whole. But pregnancy and childbirth place the immediate cost on particular bodies. The person giving birth carries the compromise in flesh. So why did evolution leave human birth dangerous? Because evolution does not build perfect bodies from scratch. It modifies inherited structures that are already performing other functions. It works through trade-offs, changing environments, variable bodies, and solutions that are effective without being complete. Some protection remained within anatomy. Some emerged through movement and fetal rotation. Some became learned observation. and some stood beside the body in the form of another human. Helping hands are not proof that human birth failed. They are evidence that the system supporting survival became larger than a single body. Assistance is not the same as incapacity.
Natural is not the same as easy. And natural is not the same as solitary. The relief is not that birth was perfectly solved. It is this: I am not broken. Humans aren't the animals that eliminated vulnerability.
We are the animals that learn to surround it. And that leaves us with a stranger question. If human babies entered the world this dependent, how much of childhood had to move outside the body too?